Hello, another weekend of fantastic football and a lot of stories to come out from it, and that's what we're going to be dealing with. We'll talk about VAR, we'll talk about Barcelona, about Real Madrid, about Atletico Madrid and Lemar, of course, who scored 2 goals or 1.5, depending who you ask, and we'll be talking about Liverpool a little bit. Starting with VAR, it's been a big controversy this weekend, and I thought VAR or VAR was going to finish all controversies. A general point about VAR, which I already made in the World Cup, the world is full of machines and technology, and a lot of people that want things black and white. Why get football involved in all that? I know I'm in a minority, and that VAR is here to stay, and in fact invade everything else, including the Premier League pretty soon, be the end of those controversies like the one we're seeing of the Arsenal goal against Everton, which was offside, of course, and VAR would have showed it, yes. But I wanted to talk about VAR. What I wanted to say was the Lenglet, and you must have seen at least a picture of it, the Lenglet sending off. Now, VAR, it's here for one main reason, which is in a manifest error of the referees, the technology will help to correct that, okay? So we've got that sorted. Now, one Lenglet does what he does, and it's a strange position of his elbow, and it looks like if referee had seen it, it could be given as a red, even though Valverde is saying that VAR was unfair, and Busquets is saying that clearly the referee hasn't played football, because otherwise he will know that this is just a part of what he was saying. I don't know, because this is very unnatural. Anyway, Piqué also complained to the referee in the tunnel on the way to the changing rooms and coming out of the changing rooms at halftime as well. But the referee had a clear idea, and he saw it. He was pointed out by VAR. He looked at it, and both the VAR referee and him decided, of course, that he was sending off. Now, but he didn't see it. And Pedro Pons, the Girona player who got the elbow in his face, actually apologized to Lenglet. Because he thought it was a foul that he had committed. And Lenglet, obviously, or Stuano, who was near, didn't complain either. So what I'm saying with that is that it wasn't a manifest error. It wasn't a big error. It would have been pointed out as an error later on, but it wasn't a clear one. So do we want VAR to stop the action every time that there is a mistake, or just the biggest mistakes? Once you have the technology, you will have to have clear-cut idea of why and when to use it. So we'll see more confusion of VAR in the near future, and I think we will. We have to stop at the Barcelona-Girona game for my second point of the weekend, because what we saw was a Barcelona with a lot of rotation. Coutinho didn't start, Rakitic didn't start, of course, Sergi Roberto and Umtiti didn't start either. It was an opportunity for Lenglet to show what he's made of, because he will start possibly against Spurs in the Champions League, because Umtiti is suspended, but he didn't do himself much favours with that sending off. There was not much to see from Lenglet just yet, but what seemed quite clear is that you cannot mix, or you cannot transform a midfield just because Sergi Busquets is there doesn't mean it's going to work. And the fact that Artur and Arturo Vidal were together made Barcelona slow, predictable. What I saw was an Arturo Vidal that he was involved in the first goal of Barcelona, of course, battled the ball well in the edge of the box and gave it to Messi for his goal and the first goal of the game. But didn't see much more of him. In smaller spaces, Arturo Vidal struggles. He hasn't got the quality of the usual Barcelona midfield, a little bit like Paulinho, without the goals that Paulinho brought to the side. And Arthur, I think he was playing almost as if he was in Brazil, dropping very deep, slowing things down, not appearing in the right places. He should be closer to the box, linking up with the attack. He didn't do any of that, which meant that Barcelona didn't play with the fluidity necessary. And after 1-0, they relaxed. And then, of course, the sending off of Lenglet changed everything. Girona had a fantastic game. To say if it was a fair or not draw, you have to see, you have to answer one question. Did your team maximize the potential, use all the weapons in their hands to actually get something out of the game? And Girona absolutely did so they deserve the point. My third point is about Real Madrid. Now, Real Madrid had the opportunity also to rotate. That's what I was going to say, all the sides. Atletico Madrid didn't rotate so much. In fact, Atletico Madrid was pretty close to the best 11 that Simeone can put on the team, but more on that later. But yes, Real Madrid rotated, and it was more about the absences than what you saw on the pitch. On the pitch, quite clearly, in the first half, they pressured very well when they lost the ball, and they recovered it early, and Espanyol couldn't play with comfort, even though Espanyol had one chance in the first half. But in the second half, it was a massive amount of space in between the lines, and Rubi had predicted all that. In the first half, Espanyol went for bullets, fast players to try to counter Real Madrid, the defense higher and higher every time, and that was Hernán Pérez, of course, and Piatti. In the second half, it was more about players that can do damage when space gets created between the lines, like Sergio Garcia and Batistao, and they took advantage of that. Espanyol could have drawn with Borja Iglesias' lob to Courtois, which hit the bar, but wasn't enough. Real Madrid won 1-0. But I was saying is the absentees. Kroos, he would have switched the ball, he would have controlled the tempo, he will have made sure that there's not so many gaps between midfield and attack. Gareth Bale, nobody has got the pace that he has, the ability to actually run in behind, the ability to shoot. It was the game that Real Madrid showed the least of the whole season so far. And Marcelo, of course, who, you know what he adds, is just it's chaos, both defensively for his own team, but also offensively. There was none of that, and that meant that some of the players that intervened, that played, like Isco and Ceballos, perhaps didn't give the side what it needed. Marco Asensio scored, and already have a bet with Steve Archibald in La Liga TV. I say that in 3 years' time, top 3 in the world. He says no, so it'll be Adina who wins that one. The Atletico Madrid that we saw was one that was certainly effective. Costa hasn't scored in 14 games, I think it is, so that includes last season. And Simeone keeps saying, as soon as Costa is ready, then we'll just won't need so much from anybody else. He was trying to say, he was going to say, we'll be okay. Atletico Madrid will be okay. Griezmann, little by little, getting more involved and making more of an impact. Still with a jet lag and with hangover of the World Cup. But it was great to see for Simeone, not only to get the 2 points against Getafe. By the way, 14 games Getafe and Atletico Madrid have played while Simeone has been there. Results in total, in global, 28 goals for Atletico Madrid, 0 for Getafe. Unbelievable stat. Anyway, it must have been pleasing to Simeone to see that the choice partnership at the back, Jimenez and Lucas Hernandez, are playing well. Godin is now the third centre-back, and there's youth all around, with Lemar, of course, who scored 2 goals, even though he's got to improve, especially in the first phase of the attack. He lost possession 11 times in his own half. But Lemar is young, Saúl, of course, Koke, Griezmann. So there's still a very young side, and you see in the future of Atletico Madrid right there. They're still behind from Barcelona and Real Madrid. They would have enjoyed the fact that Barcelona dropped points. Let's see, Real Madrid has got Sevilla next, and that could be another difficult game for Real Madrid. And let's see if they get the 3 points. They could struggle in Sevilla with the heat and everything else. Everybody's complaining about the heat. It's very hot up here. It's humid right now because it's only the evening in Barcelona. And the fifth has to be the wonderful Liverpool. It's fantastic to watch a game when they are in the flow, when everything comes good for them, when whatever they correct, Shaqiri in or out of the side, it just works. And I decided to look at where they were at this stage last season and what the progression is, and it's unbelievable. Look at this: it's 7 points difference between what they had last season and what they have this one. That is. Right now, they've got a goal difference of +12, and it was +1 last season. After 6 games, they have conceded now 2 goals, and they had conceded in the 7th stage 12 goals. Dijk, Alisson, but just generally the team is working so well. Liverpool will struggle, they all do, but I can see how it's going to be a neck-to-neck between Manchester City and Liverpool until right the end. And that's partly because Manchester City could suffer what they call the second season syndrome, or the season after winning syndrome, better said, in the sense that Johan Cruyff used to say that to Pep Guardiola a lot. It's more difficult to win after you've won. You stop doing the things that you've always done to win. And we've seen that in City. Sometimes in the first half they come out a little bit slow, but then they put the tempo up once they've been into the changing room and change things, or they've been told that's not the way, guys. So City will, perhaps at this stage of the season, will be hitting those lows and those highs, and eventually they will get the kind of pace that will make them, of course, contenders for the Premier League. I think it'll be a matter between Liverpool and Manchester City. In fact, if you look at last season, I think it was Watford and Burnley that Liverpool dropped points against, and of course they were badly beaten at the Etihad by City at the beginning of the season last season. You don't see them dropping points against the Burnleys and Watfords of these worlds. So what a season ahead in the Premier League. That's all for now. So it's time to go for dinner in here and raise a little bit of a glass of wine, because quite clearly I had a very hard week, and it's time to relax a little bit. But there is more coming on this YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and to tell everybody that we're back, and you may see more content coming your way even this week. For those of you that are interested about European football, just keep an eye on what's coming up here. Meanwhile,